Hello, public speaking class. Christina Blue here. Today, I'm going to be talking about mold and being aware of what's lurking in your walls. Now, molds, also known as fungi, produce specialized, uniquely structured fruiting bodies called spores that are generally invisible to the naked eye. There are approximately 100 indoor molds that have been identified as potentially hazardous to human health, although only a small subset are commonly found in the air and dust in indoor environments. Have you ever been in this type of situation? This is recognizable mold. However, what I'm talking about is the stuff that I mentioned lurking behind the walls. Now, mold can lead to severe health impacts that are wide-ranging and complex, such as allergic reactions, respiratory issues, and immune suppression. Research states that a quarter of the population are already vulnerable and sensitive to mold due to a genetic predisposition. And studies show that exposure over time can lead to chronic illness. Now, did you know there's an estimated 70% of homes that have some kind of mold in them? And another stat showing 45 million buildings in the United States having unhealthy levels of mold? This is a widespread issue with significant global problems and serious health risks. And as I mentioned, this is not the visible stuff. This is the culprit in the walls, the floors, even in your AC system and pillows. And it especially exists in humid climates like the Pacific Northwest, which I experienced in my 3 years there. I got very, very sick from mold illness. So therefore, I argue that due to the prevalence and intensity of mold, there needs to be a strong push to educate, understand, and prevent mold growth and exposure through, number one, proper building maintenance and regulations policies within the local building sector. Two, increase medical training and research within the medical sphere. And three, providing mass education programs to pinpoint mold-related issues. All right, so here we go. We're going to look at the body first. In 2019, scientists found that toxic mold, the ones that produce mycotoxins, causes innate immune activation, neural, cognitive, and emotional dysfunction. This includes asthma, which is super high in statistics, especially with young children, allergic rhinitis, sinusitis, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Neurological effects include dizziness, headaches, memory loss, brain fog, difficulty concentrating. These can lead to the chronic illnesses like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, lupus, MS, rheumatoid arthritis. Another symptom is digestive issues like nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea, or leading to food intolerances. And very importantly are the mental health impacts of mold, like depression, anxiety, mood swings. Severe impacts are like PTSD, insomnia, hypervigilance, nightmares, and flashbacks. And they even found, scientists, one study that non-toxic mold inhalation can induce anxiety-like behavior. So it's not just the toxins. All right, second issue, we're looking at the structural issues of housing. Now, although there are regulations in place for reducing indoor toxins, these implementation of the policies with identifying, removing, and preventing mold are severely lacking and underfunded. One study proves that it's the structural home defects that are the leading cause of mold in buildings. And funny enough, there's no federal EPA regulations with a threshold limit value of airborne mold contaminants. Therefore, I argue that government needs to take a stronger role in prevention of future mold growth and requires ongoing maintenance, as well as upgrades and repairs to many buildings that exist today. Lastly, we're going to look at the medical field. It's extremely unprepared for these mold issues, especially when they lack the ability to diagnose. A lot of these medical schools do not include training on environmental illnesses like mold-related conditions. They miss this big picture of how toxins can be a primary driver of disease. And a lot of these symptoms are wide-ranging, non-specific, chronic in nature. So there's a hard link for a cause-effect relationship. A lot of the symptoms overlap, so you can't pinpoint it directly to mold. There's also a lack of consensus within the medical field about chronic illness and the lack of routine screening. There's no one test that can detect it. So I will leave you today concluding that mold-related issues are multifaceted, involving gaps in both the medical education, diagnostic challenges, and also the inefficient institutional and regulatory frameworks that we have in place. We also lack with that implementation, the compliance of landlords and building owners. And then there is the lack of education and awareness in the general population about these environmental health issues. Now, mold is an ever-growing problem, especially increasing with the climate, higher temperatures, and increasing humidity, providing more favorable conditions for mold. So overall, we need to address this systematically and even globally. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Watch out for